Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the Briefcase in the Barn. Here are today's topics: men's retreat, militant freedom fighters, open jobs and wages, identity in barns and briefcases, are farmers the happiest people in the world? We watch a video on Jesus versus religion, and then we end with the dairy cartel. And I also want to remind everybody that tonight there's a Rights and Freedoms Forum that I'll be moderating, where guest John Carpe, the president of Justice Center for Constitutional Reforms, will be speaking. So if you're out in the Chilliwack area, that starts at 7:30. Do come out to that. Thanks. Let's get into it. Welcome back to episode 95 of the Briefcase in the Barn. I actually make sure that mic's nice and close, because a guy came up to me last week at the men's retreat, Central Men's Retreat, where Dave Curry spoke, and he was a farmer, weeb or something. I don't know. I didn't recognize him, but he said he can't listen to it in the tractor. He can't listen to the Briefcase in the Barn or some of the episodes in the tractor. It doesn't go loud enough or something. So gotta get dialed on the audio.
Okay. Think you could turn it up loud enough, or if you had it in your ear, maybe he doesn't have AirPods in.
You seem pretty old, so maybe that's the issue. No, but he said other podcasts he could listen to. That was it. So yeah, it was mine specifically that he couldn't do.
Okay. So, well, there's a lot of reasons that he couldn't listen to your podcast. That was nice that he made that the reason.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I'm sure he came out of his way just to tell me.
People, I've had a lot of feedback in the last week.
Okay, tell me.
Well, I sent most of them to you. One day I had 3 people message me, and just such different walks of life and different people. It's yeah, you definitely can't, when you're sharing like this and when we talk about things, you can't cater, and we've never really tried to, really. We just kind of talk about whatever comes to mind, which is a bit of a problem.
Most catering you've done is try to be funny.
No, I mean, I can't. I don't even, because I know when I'm funny, I'll be inappropriate and offensive to somebody else. So, right?
Yeah, you can't cater. No, doesn't work.
I think you just kind of share whatever comes to mind, and then it is what it is. How did you find the men's retreat?
I liked it.
Okay. How long was it?
10 a.m. till 4:30 p.m.
So, and
there was a talk, or just kind of chill for a half hour first, just eat food. Then Dave Curry did a talk on becoming the hottest man you can for the one woman of your dreams.
Okay.
Someone. I'm butchering that. Yeah. Something like that. But loving your wife before everything else, and before your work and everything else. I got points on that. And then there was a bunch of activities you could do. You can go hiking, you can go boating, you can go golfing.
Fun.
Obviously went golfing. Okay. And you can bull riding. There was some guy, Gary Baars guy or whatever. Like he sponsored it. Never shows up to those things.
But doesn't come to the event, but happy to bring his mechanical bull. That's actually a real metaphor for my whole life. Drop off the mechanical, drop off something, have someone else run it, and never show my face. I was a bit convicted about it, but I totally made the right. I definitely shouldn't have been there, but it was interesting that you would scorch me publicly for that.
I feel like I'm scorching you, but I mean, with as many kids as you have, it makes sense that you're not at an event like that on a Saturday.
Anytime I'm gone on a Saturday for any reason. Yeah, it is a huge. So for me, loving my wife well means
it has to be a good reason, like work.
Saturday, unless it's a good reason, like work. Yeah, we work quite a bit, but I took the kids with me. Right, we did all the work together. On
Where'd you go?
I went and did bark mulch and stuff and flower beds at the shop and at our house.
Right on.
Yeah,
I started working with a personal trainer this week, so I can actually get my back in a spot where I can actually do those things again.
Okay.
Because I start like.
Do you think we need personal trainers now that we have like AI? Like, can we not just have chat?
AI does not motivate me, man. Okay. I need a guy being like, do this now.
Okay.
Like that, because I've been shitting the bed on that for a while, and so like I work in the backyard for half hour, like shovel some stuff. I'm turning into a cripple real fast, so need to work on my core. Anyways, then that last talk was about how to be a man of influence, Christian man of influence,
like in the broader community.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, and how did he challenge men to do that?
One thing that stuck out to me that I was appreciated that he pointed out was deal with your own bullshit. He didn't say it like that, but like the stuff that you're not dealing with and the hurts of your past that you're not dealing with heavily restrict you from being effective
That's a great word.
in your family or in your community, whatever else like that. And And so he actually pulled a guy up on stage, and put like a piece of duct tape on both ears and one eye, and taped his hands. And he goes like, "How effective can you be if you got all these things that you're in denial about or whatever, and aren't dealing with?" And so that was the one thing that stuck out, which I think we underestimate how much those things can hold us back. So
I see it all the time.
Well, I mean, it's human beings.
It's obvious. No, I know, but it's fascinating how people in the Christian community will go to Bible studies or do good things or be involved in all this stuff, but they're really just neutered because they haven't dealt with their own crap and their own trauma. And people would like to say, I've either moved on or I've forgiven. But have you really, do you hang out with those? Can you socialize with those people that you have all the issues with? Or do you kind of keep space? Like, I see it all the people are like, well, I just don't, can't be around those people. It's like, oh, that's a sign that there's probably stuff that hasn't been dealt with. But
I think the hardest thing though is that I think there's a genuine ignorance to that you think you've dealt with everything. So I think of myself in like my early 20s, like I thought I had dealt with everything. Like I genuinely, like I didn't really think I had many issues at all. Now, when you ran into me, you definitely let me know.
You had some issues.
Yeah, but
you knew that then too.
I don't know if I did.
You had a lot of problems. Like you were the problem.
Yeah, I know, but I was always helping everyone else and stuff like that. I was doing different things.
That makes sense. That was my life too.
And
very, very, very good at helping others.
Yeah,
very good at communicating with others.
What would be like a self-awareness test that you could do on yourself to see if you're actually as healthy as you think you are?
You can't self-assess. That's the thing. You can't self-assess. And most people don't have enough people that they've let in close enough to ever ask the conversation and say humbly to somebody and not have the person give them a BS answer and say to somebody, hey, where are some areas in my life that I'm really blind to that you see that I struggle with and I'm probably totally oblivious to or somewhat oblivious to, right? I mean, we might be a little bit of self-aware. Yeah. But it's a journey, and I think even for you'd be a good example of that, where like, hey, you've worked on a lot of stuff and grown tremendously, and since I've known you, but the journey is not completely like vertical all the time, right? Nope. And there's valleys, and I think because we live in such a critical culture, it's just human nature. It's not even a critical culture. Human beings are very judgmental, right? And so we always feel better when we're looking down on someone else. So people just naturally do that. Even in good communities, right? People will be like, just kind of make
pride's a bitch.
It's a real problem. It's a problem for me.
Yeah. One of my favorite. Go ahead.
Sorry, no, I was just going to ask. Was the men's retreat, was it well attended?
It was 120, 130 guys.
Okay.
Yeah, so I thought it was really well attended.
Okay.
Yeah, and there was just, I mean, I appreciated the break in between, that it wasn't just talks the whole time. So they actually facilitate these guys.
Fun experience on a Saturday with a bunch of guys hanging out together.
Yeah, Christian guys that have the same values, that interact with each other, because I think that's often missing. It's just like, it's not just community isn't just like listening to someone talk and then leaving again. It's like, no, you're actually interacting with people and building and meeting new people and stuff like that. And ironically, I actually felt pretty comfortable most of the day.
Which is surprising. Completely sober.
Completely sober.
Okay, good for you.
So, yeah, I mean, I've been to a lot of those events in the past, and I was high as a kite.
Yeah, just surviving. Trying to survive.
Yeah. I'm actually curious now that I say that, how many guys there would have been high?
Oh, fair amount.
Guys got to be about, nobody
lots
knows.
Of gummies,
right? Yeah.
People do gummies like crazy.
Yes, gummies, yeah.
Like
that's what I did.
They say alcohol consumption's going down, but nobody talks about how marijuana, THC consumption's going up. It's totally it has become a socially acceptable thing that people do to cope, which, like, I get it. I mean, if I could be high all the time, I would be too.
Yeah, it's a tough one to kick though, because it's like you want to always escape. I think I'm on like day
40-something,
46 or 77, whatever, since last time. It's like last week still, I was like on Friday, I was just like, I was done for the week and the weekend was coming, and for some reason like anxiety started spiking, and I was thinking about it, and I was like, no, not doing it. But it's a journey. It takes time. But
are you not more likely to smoke pot or something if you were drinking? Like if you had a few drinks, would you not be more likely to go then do smoke weed?
No, because I feel like then the alcohol is already taking the edge off.
Okay.
Yeah.
I always feel like, man, when I drank, like just so many bad things followed that. Like just everything seemed
alcohol.
Like a good idea.
I just fall asleep, man. Like I have if I have a beer at 5 o'clock, like at 5:30, I'm sleeping at the supper table.
Okay.
Like just crash. I don't know what it is.
Okay.
What's I think talking about what we were talking about earlier last week, there was a lady that at the Freedom Session grad that shared that she felt like every Christian should be doing Freedom Session, and that she didn't have any significant issues, but that the freedom she had found was that she always worried a lot about her one of her kids, one of her teen kids, and afterwards how, because this person had struggles of some sort, but afterwards she had completely let go of that worry. And I just thought it was so cool to hear that, because often as parents, I think our worry makes us helicopter parent, or try to
Definitely makes us unhealthy.
try to control whatever else like that and things like that, and how she was able to let that go. And I was like, this is such a practical example of didn't have this big trauma or things like that, but found freedom in this really practical way, which massively affects like how happy you are, or everything.
I'm just having a flashback. I had my parents over for lunch the other day, and they listened, and they were like quite taken aback how many things they're learning about me so it became the concept about listening to the podcast. Marie's like, yeah, I learn a lot of stuff too. Unfortunately, right? But Marie quit listening. So
she's done now?
Whatever I want. Yeah.
Okay, good.
No more wife ragging on me for saying the wrong thing. But no, I always felt like I was pretty transparent, but I guess when you're 20 years old, you're not telling your parents, or 25, you're not telling your parents of all your sins. I probably had some pride left, or some sense of shame of my horrible decisions that I was.
It's got to be a lot of things my parents don't know.
I think it was the gambling, right? Where I must have beaked off that I had sold the house to pay off gambling debt.
That was at Freedom Session grad too.
Yeah, I did share that there.
Next week, on May 13th, there's a Rights and Freedoms Forum. Where hosted by MLA Heather Mathis, who came on the podcast here, and so John Carpe is coming on. I guess he's the president of for the Justice Center for Constitutional
Reform.
Freedoms, whatever. So he was the same lawyer that your brother used, for the Easter Bunny and
Santa Claus debacle.
Yeah. You were going to moderate it.
Yeah.
You bailed.
Yeah.
Why'd you bail? I didn't even ask.
Oh, because I have a rehearsal dinner for I'm a best man in a wedding that weekend. And I didn't know there's a rehearsal dinner, and our kids have a school performance all at 6:00. That is total. Anyways, it ended up being that if I had to, I could have came back and still taken care of that role. But I'm very appreciative that you'll do better than I will.
So I'll be moderating that event, so that'll be interesting. Okay. I'm not sure how well attended it will be. Or
it's in Chilliwack somewhere.
Yeah.
If you live locally,
it is.
Where is it at? Is that the curling club?
The Loft at the Landing Sports Center.
Oh, at the Landing Sports Center.
Yeah, okay. I don't even know where that is.
7:39. Definitely worth listening to, and definitely people will land in I don't want to say they're militant, but they do come across as how people that are freedom fighters come across as sometimes super militant.
Yeah.
So I get that vibe a little bit, but I also really agree with things that they fight for. I think that common sense is in a general has completely lost in conversation in a world we live in. So if you're someone that is just thankful that somebody's speaking up against the lunacy that happens in our world, that organization is a great organization to support, or at least, if you were living in town and you thought I'd like to hear what they're about, it'd be you get a good education from the guy.
It's funny that Militant comment. I went out for lunch with the guy last week. Nobody, I think, listening would know. But he, I just want to clarify that before I share this. But he comes from he's part of a Christian community, and he still attends church every Sunday and has a family, but he is not a Christian at all. He doesn't believe he's agnostic.
Okay.
And
atheist or agnostic?
He believes there might be a God. But he's not at all convinced it's the Christian God or any other God. Okay. And so, but he wasn't like that. He was, up until he was probably in his late 30s. That's when someone started asking questions in his church about hey, how do we know this is all true and real? And his pastor didn't have all the answers. And so he started to go look for him, and he came to the conclusion that this isn't real either.
Oh, wow.
But he wants to keep his family together. And so he's choosing to just toe the line and go to church and go through the motions.
There's lots of people doing that.
But I know there's a lot of people doing that, but that openly admit they don't even believe in God at all. He
admitted that to you. He didn't admit that on here, right?
Pretty publicly, he talks about it.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's read all the different books around the case for Christ and things like that.
Okay, so he's doing his.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I thought it was just fascinating. So I just enjoyed talking to him, and I actually encouraged him to read the book of John again. He'd read the Bible through a whole bunch of times, as recently as last year. And but anyway, we were having this conversation back and forth, and I was just curious and learning, but he thanked me a few times for the ability just to have the conversation and not be offended by the fact that because he was talking about how could the God of the Bible have killed so many people in the Old Testament and like all these things like that I wasn't like offended by his questions and his pushback and things like that. And I'm like, well, I'm pretty secure about my belief. Like I'm not, I know I can't change your mind. Like if anybody's can change your mind, it's going to be God. It's not going to be me.
Amen.
So I can just have this conversation. But he said a lot of people get militant and angry and worked up when he
Partially from insecurity, right? Because a lot of people literally can't defend what they believe. They've just been indoctrinated, and they know that it's wrong to question it, so they wouldn't even dare question it. When I think that's something that's been a huge disservice in the culture we grew up in, was the fact that you could never question anything. I think it's really dangerous. I think it creates a lot of people that are literally going through the motions and don't actually believe what they're acting like they believe. And I think that true faith comes from wrestling, and a lot of the Bible is like Christian
wrestling. Men
and women wrestling with the Lord in various degrees, sometimes openly through the Psalms and in other ways, right?
Yeah.
So I think God can handle that, and I think that a lot of people have had really tragic things happen. They have a lot of questions for God that will take some sorting out. And
reminds me of Matt Johnson did a sermon a couple of years ago, or a series of sermons about how the church has hurt itself, and one of the things was he said that intellectualism has kind of left the church, and we're supposed to just blindly believe these things.
Do you think so? You think it has?
I think in a lot of people I talked with just like believe them. Like, how do you know that or really believe it? Okay. And even myself,
I feel like we're coming into a season of a lot of intellectuals studying the Bible and realizing that the history is there and that it lines up with other documents. Like, I feel like that's more.
Well, that's definitely what Matt pushes. He's trying to push that, in his sermons, anyways. And I do think more mainstream culture is probably looking at the Bible that way and seeing the proof of it. But I think if you've been in church for a long time in your whole life, I think you're in a way more tempting spot there to not know why you believe what you believe, and the reasons behind it and stuff like that, and just kind of go with the flow. And I mean, makes sense. It's way easier. I mean, I've even noticed it with people dating outside the church, and then they have to like figure out what they believe. Well, that fact pushes people often to wrestle with these things because they have to deal with it. Versus you date someone from in the church or whatever, and they're just like, well, believe the same thing, so we don't need to talk about it. Don't actually believe it. So.
Don't ask, don't tell.
On that note, I have some jobs I'm trying to fill in Swift Current.
Oh wow!
Medicine Hat, Williams Lake. This is logistics and counter sales, and for a distribution company in the agriculture sector. And so if you're interested in that, great company, really respect these guys, really good benefits, RSP matching, profit sharing. And so if you're a young guy interested in one of those positions, there's a lot of room for growth as well. So reach out to me on that one. And then also in Chilliwack, someone that can manage a yard. And do distribution, move stuff around, but not just be a forklift driver, but actually be able to use your brain, think big picture, logistics, those things like that. So that's pretty good paying as well. So that's starting $85K a year.
Oh wow!
So, yeah.
What does $85K a year work out to per hour? Is that about 38?
Yes, 37, 38, yeah.
Okay, yeah. And that'd be on an 8-hour day.
45, 50 hours a week.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's still.
I grew up in a culture where you always made $100,000 a year, right? But you had to work. You had to work 250 hours a month, right? So,
are the oil fields still open at all? Is that totally like guys still go up there? Because when I was in my early 20s, a lot of my friends would, or not a lot of my friends, a bunch of my friends would.
Well, because it was booming then, right? Right before the bust, right?
Because then guys would go up 2-3 weeks at a time.
Was that like in 2011, 12, 13?
Yeah.
And then 14, she just crashed. Like
the
oil. Because of the 2014 crash and because of the 2020 oil price crash during COVID, and I follow the oil market really closely.
Why? Just really intrigued.
Just because it's my hobby, right? People are like, oh, what's your hobby? Like mine is like reading, financial statements on Canadian oil companies. Anyways, they're not drilling, even though the price now is exorbitantly high. Yeah. Like they're never quick to grow, right? Drill baby drill is not happening.
No, especially the amount of red tape we have now. So
That and just the idea of, hey, like, if your oil price is going to be $50 next week, even though it's $100 or $50 in a year from now, like there's just the appetite to take that risk. Like they're way more about, creating healthy balance sheets and just really and there's starting to be a lot more acquisition of companies, right? So like the Dutch company Shell just bought Arc Resources, which is a pretty large natural gas player in Canada. And that's been happening quite a bit. Meg Energy just got bought by Cenovus Energy. Then that was a pretty big company. Anyways,
all this private equity stuff.
Yeah.
Back then, the guys would go up for 14 days, be home for 7, up for 14 days.
That is still happening.
Work
I
from
know
12,
people
14,
that are doing that. Yeah,
they're just raking in.
I don't think they're raking in. I think people down here are starting to make more and more as people are like some of these jobs that you're saying are probably not super high skilled jobs, but people are making a decent wage, right? I think the idea of it, like $85,000 a year used to be a lot of money. And it still is very good compared to some jobs, but obviously, a lot of people would say, "Hey, you could hardly feed a family on that. You couldn't have a single income and put your kids in a private school on that wage."
I mean, in 2010, I was making 60, working as shipping and receiving manager at a greenhouse. Okay. So that 60, what you could buy with that 60
would have been a lot more than now.
A lot more.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
When I texted a bunch of you guys last week about what we can talk on the podcast, I texted our buddy Mike as well, Mike Feenstra. So this is what he texted me.
This is going to be very spiritual.
It's not whatever. What's the true reason for either one? Is it status, identity, building an estate for my family, as some have suggested, setting my family up for the future? You and I know nothing will satisfy. It always needs to be a bit bigger barn or a shinier case. And we will know nothing will ever satisfy, as Satan tried to tempt Jesus by showing the riches of the world and said, "Worship me and I will give it to you." It's only our identity in Christ, and that's what matters. And it's a Christian with a barn or a Christian with a briefcase. And where is your identity?
Yeah, where is your identity?
So I thought that was kind of funny how he poked at the name.
He's just skewering me.
Well, you get a barn and a briefcase, but I think it's where your identity is that really, really matters. I was reading a book yesterday to the kids, some kid's book about, I don't know, some lion that was singing. He lost his voice, and now he felt like no one loved him anymore because his voice is what gave him his identity. And I was reading that book after I read this yesterday for Mike, and I was like, yeah, I mean, if you have your identity in something that can be taken away, that's not setting you up well.
I went to a wedding on Friday at RCNA here.
Yeah.
On local church, which is I'd say a pretty conservative Dutch Reformed church would be an accurate way of saying it. And it was a great sermon, and it was exactly about that. It was about what was from Psalm 18 was the wedding text, but it was he really hammered on the point of like, hey, where's your security, right? Similar question. And like, is your spouse like, they can't be your security, right? And I think that obviously when people get married, they're excited to get married or for various reasons. Some people probably totally for the wrong reasons. But I think if you're like quickly your husband or wife could become your idol, right? Or your source of comfort or your source of, hey, if that's not going well, then your whole life, and which to be fair, obviously is very upsetting and really can be really damaging to a family and stuff. But I think the idea of like, hey, God ultimately just wants us to put our trust in him and to have faith in him and to be drawn close to him. And sometimes he'll take everything away from us in order to bring us to that spot, right? And that can be really painful, but it was just encouraging. And it was interesting to me too, because the people there are some of the richest people I know and the most successful because they're such hard workers, right? And they're so diligent. So I'm thinking, man, if you're getting preached that to you all the time, like you think that would be pretty convicting being hyper focused on. It was just interesting to me as somebody that's obviously really connected to a lot of great people there. It's like, I don't think that like it's preached in our church periodically, like the whole idea of where your identity is, but I don't like, do you feel like it's talked about enough of the idea of like, hey, is you being disconnected from your wealth or the stuff that you have, or I don't know. I feel like there could be more practical. We could do a better job of like you talk about it a lot, partially because, you've made a lot of money and then had stuff taken away and struggled at various times, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how I don't know how you measure that. I appreciate how it's just right around that we're just preaching through Luke one verse at a time, and they're preaching about
Yeah.
the next verse, the next section of verses, and they're not necessarily picking. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what your question is, but I mean it's an important thing, and it's easy to do because it can be in anything. It can be in ministry stuff too, right? It can be like you're really helpful.
Really
That's your
good
ident-
stuff.
Yeah.
Really good stuff.
And so that's just equally damaging. So yeah.
That's been my experience. That's why even like the Saturday men's retreat, it's like, oh, it would have been a fun thing to do. I would have enjoyed it. It's the right thing for me to do at this point in my life. Probably not, right? I mean, there will be a season where.
Would you be comfortable at those events though? Because
more comfortable than you, but less comfortable than most men.
Okay. Because it's not like there's a lot of like purpose at like that's where I would struggle too. Is like, what am I supposed to be doing now?
Like I would do well there if I had my job was to run the mechanical bull.
Exactly,
and
yeah.
the talk, but like
Exactly.
I'm going to go like what?
Just like
Hang
talk to
out,
people, hang
mingle?
out.
No,
Like, yeah,
no.
you're not
No,
very
I'm
good at
good.
the hanging out.
No, I'm not. No, you're totally right.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
It reminds me the earlier part was my mom used to tell me growing up, Kyle, pray every day that God separates you from the world, but be scared when you pray it because it's going to hurt.
Okay.
And I feel like a bunch of those prayers have got answered, and it really, really hurt. And so I've stopped praying it because I'm like, I'm so sick of suffering and pain. But yeah, I mean, usually that's where God takes you to be closer to Him. It's usually not through like feeling so good.
Pleasant things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Today it's just cooking hot here, and cows don't like it. And I'm going to pick up cows from the U.S. today. That's the next thing I'm doing when I leave here.
Is that why you can't record this afternoon?
Yes, because I completely double booked. I have a border appointment.
Okay. And you're going to Alberta tomorrow, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
Just
going
for a
to Freedom
day?
Session grad for less than 24 hours. That'll have already obviously taken place.
Yeah.
You mentioned that we should record closer to the date, and it wouldn't be a bad idea because there's a lot of things that you could talk about that would be completely out of context.
Yes.
But, yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting how many farmers listen to this yet. Like, I mean, I guess it is the Briefcase in the Barn, but
They have time.
a lot of yeah, because they're sitting in their tractors nonstop. I'm not a real farmer, right? I pay someone to come and do all my field work. I had a guy that ran my farm that loved tractors.
Smart farmer?
Or a dumb farmer. I don't know. I think there's some legitimacy when you have grease on your hands and you work till late at night in the field and then start very early in the morning.
Isn't statistically, I think I read this somewhere in like the Time magazine a couple of years ago, that farmers are generally the most happy people on profession.
That would make sense.
Because
you know why?
Because they're at home without a lot of people around.
No. It's because they're physically working.
No.
People that physically work will naturally be happier.
A lot of other professions physically work, like plumbers, electricians.
I think they'd be happy. People that sweat when they work, like you're going to naturally be happier, right? When you're exercising, it releases endorphins. It's good for you.
I think part of it is being close to home a lot.
Yeah, connected to your family. Probably you come in for lunch, right? If you're a typical farming family, you might eat lunch together with your wife or your kids if they're younger. Like that's pretty awesome, right? They'd be working with you.
Yeah.
Like when I go do bark mulch with my kids, which is a very small thing, like that's like do flower beds and work, like that's a very rewarding thing. Like I know that that's what I'm supposed to be doing. It's not easy for me to do because it's challenging watching them butcher everything, and there's 6 of them and they're just fighting and whatever. But I think that idea is probably super healthy, right? Yeah, it was interesting. I think I said on the last podcast, I bought all these bred heifers, right? But turns out that breeding age heifers, like ones that are like 8-9 months younger, are worth exactly the same because of how wonky the beef market is. Like those open animals that can go straight to a feedlot to be fed for beef are worth exactly the same as the animal that's like pregnant, ready to calve and ready to milk. So very interesting times. It'll all sort itself out at some point, but
Like everything.
like everything.
Yeah. Okay, I want to watch a 3-minute video here to react to called Jesus versus Religion by Jefferson Bethke. You ever watch this?
Probably.
It's like 12. Nah,
Got 12 million views. Or?
it has. Let me see. I watched this when I had just become a Christian like 12 years ago.
Okay.
How many views does it have? It has 36 million views.
Okay.
14 years old.
Okay.
So here, you see that?
Yeah, I can listen to it.
What if I told you Jesus came to abolish religion? What if I told you voting Republican really wasn't his mission? What if I told you Republican doesn't automatically mean Christian, and just because you call some people blind doesn't automatically give you vision? I mean, if religion is so great, why has it started so many wars? Why does it build huge churches but fails to feed the poor? Tell single moms God doesn't love them if they've ever had a divorce, but in the Old Testament, God actually calls religious people whores. Religion might preach grace, but another thing they practice, tend to ridicule God's people. They did it to John the Baptist. They can't fix their problems, and so they just mask it, not realizing religion's like spraying perfume on a casket. See, the problem with religion is it never gets to the core. It's just behavior modification, like a long list of chores. Like, let's dress up the outside, make it look nice and neat. But it's funny, that's what they used to do to mummies while the corpse rots underneath. Now, I ain't judging, I'm just saying, quit putting on a fake look. Because there's a problem if people only know that you're a Christian by your Facebook. I mean, in every other aspect of life, you know that logic's unworthy. It's like saying you play for the Lakers just because you bought a jersey. See, this was me too, but no one seemed to be on to me. Acting like a church kid while addicted to pornography. See, on Sunday I'd go to church, but Saturday getting faded, acting if I was simply created to just have sex and get wasted. See, I spent my whole life building this facade of neatness, but now that I know Jesus, I boast in my weakness. Because if grace is water, then the church should be an ocean. It's not a museum for good people, it's a hospital for the broken. Which means I don't have to hide my failure, I don't have to hide my sin. Because it doesn't depend on me, it depends on Him. See, because when I was God's enemy, and certainly not a fan, He looked down and said, I want that man. Which is why Jesus hated religion, and for it He called them fools. Don't you see so much better than just following some rules? Now let me clarify. I love the church, I love the Bible, and yes, I believe in sin. But if Jesus came to your church, would they actually let Him in? See, remember He was called a glutton and a drunkard by religious men. But the Son of God never supports self-righteousness, not now, not then. Now back to the point, one thing is vital to mention. How Jesus and religion are on opposite spectrums. See, one's the work of God, but one's a man-made invention. See, one is the cure, but the other's the infection. See, because religion says do, Jesus says done. Religion says slave, Jesus says son. Religion puts you in bondage, while Jesus sets you free. Religion makes you blind, but Jesus makes you see. And that's why religion and Jesus are two different clans. Religion is man searching for God. Christianity is God searching for man. Which is why salvation is freely mine, and forgiveness is my own. Not based on my merits, but Jesus' obedience alone. Because He took the crown of thorns and the blood dripped down His face. He took what we all deserved. I guess that's why you call it grace. And while being murdered, He yelled, Father, forgive them. They know not what they do. Because when He was dangling on that cross, He was thinking of you. And He absorbed all your sin and He buried it in the tomb, which is why I'm kneeling at the cross saying, come on, there's room. So for religion, no, I hate it. In fact, I literally resent it. Because when Jesus said, it is finished, I believe He meant it.
And then He has... at the end, on the screen, he says, quotes Romans 4:5, and to the one who does not work, but believes in Him who justifies the ungodly, his faith is counted as righteous. So it shows that the opposite of working is believing. I love that video. And I'm reading Galatians right now, and Galatians, Paul, they're struggling with going back to works-based salvation, or like trying to perform and do all the right things, and they're forgetting that it's grace. And I think that's just an easy trap to fall into, and it made me think of this video. Thought I'd share it.
What part of that video really?
Jesus, religion says do, Jesus says done. I think it's just it's interesting. In Regroup this week, Dave Curry did a talk about, which he said was one of the hardest talks for him to give, and about grace. How it's like there's nothing that he can do that would make Jesus happier with him. Nothing.
Yeah, nobody believes that.
No.
Nobody listening to this believes that.
No, and he's like, I'm always like full of energy and just go, stuff like that. And he goes like, what? Like, there's this part of us that makes us think like, what's the point then of doing anything, right? But it's done out of not, trying to earn, but because we're already loved and forgiven. And so why wouldn't you want to? So, anyways, what do you think? What's that go to you?
It made me think of this verse in Corinthians. It's from 2 Corinthians 12. I'll just read it because this just came to mind. This is Paul talking here in the New Testament. Even if I should choose to boast, I would not be a fool because I would be speaking the truth. But I refrain so no one will think more of me than is warranted by what I do or say, or because of these surpassing great revelations. Therefore, in order to keep me from becoming conceited, I was given a thorn in my flesh, a messenger of Satan to torment me. Now, I don't think the Bible anywhere, Paul doesn't clarify what it is, which of course people surmise all kinds of things because that's how people are. And a lot of us can identify that with the thorn. I for sure have lots of that in my life. And then he says, 3 times I pleaded with the Lord to take it away from me. But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, this is Paul talking again, I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses so that Christ's power may rest on me. That is why, for Christ's sake, I delight in my weakness, in insults and hardships and persecutions and difficulty. For when I am weak, then I am strong. And I mean, those verses stood out to me, I guess, because most people in Christian communities do not talk much about their weakness.
No, they definitely don't boast in them.
They definitely don't boast about it.
Yeah.
And he's saying you should boast in it.
Yeah.
And I think it's not meant to be obviously proud of your sin, but more, hey,
My need for Jesus.
In our areas where we struggle, and I guess, I mean, I probably could do a lot better job of it too, but I try to be pretty transparent about all the things that I struggle with, which are a lot, basically everything. Because I just think, hey, it's glorifying to God when we can admit in the areas where we struggle or where we've even grown to varying degrees, right? Which I think if you're walking alongside people in Christian community, you should see that. You should be able to encourage one another in that while still challenging people in areas where they can grow, right? So
I was telling a guy this week, I'm challenging him a bit. I was like, I struggle talking with you sometimes because your shit don't stink. And he's like, what do you mean? Like, I have stuff I struggle with, and
he
never names it.
Never names it.
No. And
no, so that's very typical.
Yes.
In our communities, like people that I talk to, family, friends, like, oh, yeah, I'm a sinner. Like, no, like what? Like what? Like just do us all a favor and share what are the areas that you are really ashamed of. Like, do everyone a favor around you, right?
Yeah. And not some vague thing.
Vague. Yeah. And theology and terms, and it's like.
And also, doesn't the non-Christians or the people that are struggling no favors either, because they're like, oh, if I need to be a Christian, I need to get to that.
I got to look like that, or I don't even want to look like that.
No,
that's
the other side.
Be that self-righteous,
and
but while they all know that people struggle with, being honest or whatever,
everything it is,
things that people struggle with.
Yeah.
Right? So.
Yeah. Be broken. Yeah. It's humbling, letting go. Because it's like you got to let it go. It's an identity thing too, right? You let go of the identity. Be like, okay, my identity has to be in something else then.
Okay. Did you stick it out? You the first Freedom Session grad, you crapped out halfway through. You couldn't do it. And I'm gonna have a big cry. How did you do the second one?
I survived the whole time, which was I found out which is even longer than the first week.
Oh, people criticized it.
2 hours, 2 hours and 40 minutes of testimonies. Yeah. I don't know. I thought it was. I stayed there the whole time, and I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, super encouraging.
Yeah, just to hear the different levels and of freedom and where people are at, and yeah.
Okay, Freedom Session is not allowed to be talked about in my house for the entire summer, right? So we're kind of doing our rough planning for next year, what it's going to look like in the fall. So I told
Nicole, I said we're putting it in our calendar in September. We are not do Freedom Sessions. We are not facilitating to get away. It's been we'll see then, but
live open-handed, right? You never know where you're supposed
not
to
my
be.
choice.
Not my choice.
Not my choice.
Okay.
Anyways,
that's it. That's a wrap. I'm done. Didn't want to record in the first place. No. Did you have something else you really wanted to cover?
No, I got nothing.
Okay.
Oil prices, nothing.
Pardon?
We talked about oil already. Talked about cows already.
Very little, right? The people that love cows really love
cows.
Right?
That was the one feedback. The guy that sent you a message and me a message about he wanted a weekly update on the cattle prices. And so I said, I have to pay for pay.
I can say one thing for sure about milk cow prices. This is just my opinion, obviously, as everything on here is, it's not, there's no, like everything I say, there's no evidence. I just speak what I think. I think cow prices, no, I mean, I'm just speaking off, right? The milk cow prices for the farmers that are listening, there's 6 of them that listen. Like, and people kind of know it subconsciously. So, like, there again, means nothing to you because you don't understand the milk market and what it means to be a farmer in BC. But, like, it's pretty, I don't want to say tightly controlled, but it's very heavily regulated.
Cartel.
It's the dairy cartel. No, it's just the idea of, like, hey, we can't way overship. There's serious consequences for really overshipping, right? And there's a lot of flexibility in our production to kind of ship more or less. But everybody knows that next year we need a lot of milk here, right? Because there's these 2 huge plants being built in the Lower Mainland. So people are hanging on to cows.
So what are the plants for? To produce more milk?
No, processed milk.
To process milk.
Yeah,
so why?
exciting.
So then more stuff will be on the shelf?
Yeah. It's not necessarily shelf product, I don't think. I think it's like the world milk market's huge, and there's product that goes into like baby formula that gets shipped overseas. I mean, I don't even know what the plants are
okay.
for.
So it's not like we have a huge demand
it's not
here.
Like all of a sudden there's 7 million new people in
The
Canada
plants will
that
just
are
give
drinking
more
milk.
access to
Milk
demand.
is way more products than it is. Like, it's not like fluid sales is the highest paid price for us as farmers, but that's a very small, like, that's just part of what we get paid, right?
Yeah.
And there again, I'm not an expert by any means, but
Sound
we get paid based on what it gets used for. So the processor takes it, and then based on what they sell it for, they pay us for that, right? Like, we're price takers. Like, it's obviously it's a livable wage, and it's a decent price compared to the lows of some countries, but it's not like, it's not all. It's just like anything in life, people are always looking from their other side of the fence, looking over and saying, "Oh, that looks amazing."
I was thinking about that with like the whole AI stuff coming in and how that's going to change. That's changing the world already, and it's going to make the future even crazier. Everyone still needs to eat. So there are certain industries that are just going to keep going.
Protected, producing food for people, for
Yes,
animals.
that's a huge one, right?
Yeah. I mean, and AI will help many industries that are supporting farmers, but like AI is not going to ultimately like feed the cow per se, right? I mean, there'll be systems that will be in place because of it that will help make farms more efficient. And farms in general are, I think, pretty progressive that way. Like, if you look in, especially in Europe, right? Like, they kind of,
pretty liberal.
Europe is leading. Yeah, liberal. Anyways, back to the milk cow thing, so I can finish my thought. The market is super tight because everybody knows next year that they need, they'll need the milk, so they're kind of hanging on to their inventory. A lot of guys don't like to buy cows, like they want to keep their closed herd or have their own herd, and so the price is basically like at the absolute bottom in BC. But the minute that it switches,
but does that reflect over to the price at the store at all, or not?
No. The price of cattle has nothing to do with the milk price, right?
No, the milk price at the store. You said the price at the absolute bottom is the milk price, right?
No, it's not the milk price. It's the price of the cows.
Oh,
right?
okay.
That's the space I'm playing in. No, the milk price is completely dictated by
the price
CDC.
of the milk dairy cows is the bottom.
Yeah.
Not the beef cows. And the beef
In
cows
BC.
is at
And
the top.
The beef cows is at the absolute highest it's ever been.
Wow. Okay.
So the gap between a beef cow on your farm and a beautiful fresh cow that theoretically should be worth double at least, in my opinion, or 3 times, the gap is like $600. Like, it's
crazy.
20% more, right? Huh. So that will swing really hard. And everybody kind of knows it, or a lot of people realize it, but they don't totally realize it. So anyways, it'll be interesting to see when the pendulum does swing. All these cows will be worth lots of money. And yeah.
Okay. Send in your questions, guys.
Yeah.
Peace.
Have a great week. Take care.
Hey guys, if you enjoyed that episode and were blessed by it, would you be willing to support the show? That would help a lot in creating more content, improving the quality of the content, putting the production value, getting more guests on, and me being able to spend more time and energy towards it. So if you're interested in doing that, you can click up here and it'll take you to a support page. But you can also subscribe to the podcast by clicking over here and doing that. Thanks again for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one.